Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're going to be working on the Tropical Getaway swimsuit. Super cute pattern. There are so many extras in this pattern. You get the bikini top and bottom, and you get rash guard top that could be cropped or with a band or long, short sleeve, long sleeve, and then you get the skirt that you can also use. So there are tons to this pattern. So we're gonna do this in two different videos. On this video, we're gonna be working on the bikini top and bottom. And then on the next video, we'll be working on the rash guard and the skirt. So go check that video out. I'll post the link and add it to here so you can go check it out. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the straps of your bodice, of your top, and we're gonna fold them wrong sides together, and we're gonna sew that raw edge. I'm going to be using my serger, but if you don't have a serger, you can use your sewing machine with a stretch stitch, some kind of lightning stitch or lightning bolt stitch or zigzag stitch or anything like that, because these will stretch. You don't wanna use a straight stitch because then the stitches will pop. Once we sew those together, if you want extra stability, you can fit in a piece of clear elastic from this end to this end, so it can hold it together. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew that first, and then we're gonna turn them around and top stitch them. And then also I'm going to grab my bodice. This is the top of my bodice and the bottom of my bodice, and we're gonna match them right sides together. See how they match up right here. This is my bodice. We're gonna flip this top right on top and match it right sides together, and then go sew that together as well. All right, I'm gonna grab my strap. Once it's sewn together, I'm gonna turn it around. Like I said, right now, once you turn it around, you can add clear elastic for more stability if you'd like to. Once I turn it around, I'm gonna go ahead and steam it down, and then I can go over to my sewing machine or my cover stitch or however you want to do it, and you can go ahead and top stitch them for a better look. It's not necessary, so if you feel like you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but I will just do like a little top stitch on each side. Then I'm gonna, my bodice, and I'm gonna steam the hem, the seam allowance, and then top stitch that as well. Remember, this is swim fabric, so you want to make sure that you're very careful when you're steaming it with your iron. I do a lot of steam and go low temperature so you don't actually burn your swimsuit. Once we're done top stitching, I'm gonna head over to my sewing machine, and I'm gonna grab my strap. I'm gonna place it right in the middle, and I'm going to baste those straps on. So, and right sides together. So the right side of the strap touching the right side of my bodice. This is the wrong side where I can see my seam right here in the back. So that's how I'm gonna attach them. I'm just gonna baste them right there. And then for my back, I'm gonna grab my back bodice, and I'm gonna grab my elastic. There's an elastic cut chart in the pattern itself, so that way you know exactly how big to cut that elastic. I'm gonna mark my half of my bodice, and I'm gonna mark my half of my elastic as well. I'm gonna pin that elastic right at my half of my bodice or clip, and then stretching lightly, I'm going to attach my elastic to my bodice. I'm gonna do that on my sewing machine with a zigzag stitch. You can do it with a zigzag stitch. You can do it however you want to attach it, and you're just gonna stretch lightly a little bit. Then I'm going to turn it. Once it's attached, I'm gonna turn it like this, so the elastic is gonna be encased in there, and then I'll go back and top stitch that down, stretching lightly, top stitch it down all the way around. Let's do all these steps. Once that zigzag stitch done, I'm gonna fold this down right over it, and then I'm gonna go over to my cover stitch and top stitch. You could also top stitch with a zigzag stitch again. Alright, Once the straps are basted on and my back is ready, I'm gonna grab my back and I'm gonna match up right sides, my back and my front, and so baste these sides together. So what I'll do is I'll just do like either a zigzag stitch or just a straight, long straight basting stitch. On my machine, the basting stitch is a size 4. But if you have a size 6, whatever size, just a longer stitch on your sewing machine that you can pull out later. And then I'll grab my lining. Once that's done, I'll grab my lining and I'll put it right side of my lining to the right side of the bodice. And I'm gonna match up all the way around and sew over the basted side seam, and then all the way at the top, at the side, arm side, shoulder, neckline, shoulder, down and down, leaving this bottom open to turn all the way around. So let's go baste those and then sew all the way around. When I sew all the way around, I'm going to sew with my serger. But if you don't have a serger, you can use it on your sewing machine with a zigzag stitch or lightning bolt stitch. Any kind of stretch stitch will do on that too. All right, now remember, when you're gonna sew the sides around, remember not to catch your straps on any of that. You can even pin them out of the way, clip them out of the side, so that way you don't catch the bottoms or anything anywhere else. You just wanna catch these top shoulder seams and the side seams and everything like that. So let's do that. All right, so I've got my waist elastic and I'm going to overlap them and use a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine and make it one continuous circle. Make sure that they are not twisted or anything before you sew them together, and I'm just gonna go back and forth with a zigzag stitch. Once I've cut my elastic, I'm gonna grab from the back to the front and mark my elastic so I can quarter it. And then from my halves to the sides, I'm gonna grab my bodice. You can trim some of these up and then tuck them in, or however you wanna do it, so they're not as bulky. And then I'm gonna turn it right side out, poking out those shoulders. How cute is this? Super cute. Okay. You can go ahead and steam that down so it's nice and fitted. If you wanted to go ahead around and top stitch, you can do that, but it's not necessary. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab and mark my half of my bodice. So match my side seams and find the back and then the front. And then I'm gonna grab my elastic, and it's gonna be kind of the same way that we did our elastic over at the neckline, at the back. You're gonna grab it and you're gonna match up those quarter points right here. Here's one, the back, and I like to use put my, what do you call it? My seam in the back. Match up all these at that raw edge. Remember here, you're gonna be matching up the 3 layers, liner, outer, and elastic. And then we're gonna go over to our sewing machine and sew it on just like we did the other one. Once it's sewn on, lightly stretching, then we're gonna fold under like so and top stitch all the way around. Once we do that, we're gonna grab our straps. We can turn this inside out to add our straps on. And we're gonna bring our straps here where the back is. I know that's my back because here's my middle piece. And from that back piece, we're gonna measure 2 inches to each side. Here's 1 from the back. Here's 2. And that's where we're going to place our straps, and we're just gonna tack them on. So I would use a pin to pin them there, and then go over and tack them on. You can tack them on with a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, or a straight stitch back and forth, straight stitch, or whatever you want to do to tack those on. And so let's finish that up, tack those on, and we'll be done with our bodice, and we'll move on to our bikini bottoms. Bodice is done. The top is done. It is so cute. Adorable. All right, let's move on to our bottoms. We're gonna go ahead and grab our bottom back and then the front, and we're gonna put them right sides together at the crotch, and we're gonna sew that crotch seam together, and we're going to be doing the same to our liner. Let me just do that real quick. Then we're gonna put this right side, wrong side up on our board, and we're gonna put the liner wrong side down so the wrong sides are touching, and we're gonna go ahead and baste all the way around. So I basted my bottoms with a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine, and I finished the raw edges of our sides with my serger. You can finish them off with a zigzag stitch as well. And then I'm gonna grab my elastic, my waistband elastic, and I'm gonna fit it to my top, to the wrong side of the top of my bottoms, and then on the back as well. And we're gonna sew those on like we did the bottom, the hem of our elastic over on our top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to my sewing machine and I'm gonna zigzag stitch it on, and then I'll flip it down and top stitch it. And we're gonna do that to the side, to the tops and to the legs. Now I'm gonna grab my leg elastic and fold it in half and find my half. Whoop. And match that to my crotch seam, and I'm gonna go up one side, stretching lightly, and then down the other side, also stretching lightly, and sew that on. So you can do, if you want to, you can go ahead and do like your waist first and then do your legs, or you can do everything at the same time. It really is up to you. I just kind of like to pin everything together at the same time because I feel like it saves time, but maybe it doesn't for you. Maybe you just like it the other way. Either way that works for you, it's fine. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna attach it with a zigzag stitch, or however you want to attach it. And then we're gonna, once it's attached, we're gonna fold it down. Bo's over here trying to play again. And we're gonna fold it down and top stitch. So we're doing that for the waist and the leg opening. All right, our bottoms are almost done. We're gonna grab them and put them together at the seam on the sides, well, the side seam. And we're gonna sew a straight stitch a half an inch away from the edge to sew them together. Once we've sewn that, we're gonna open it up to create the casing for where the straps are gonna go. So we'll open that up and we'll top stitch it down on both sides. And then we're gonna go ahead and prep our straps as well. I'll show you this as I'm doing it, but I just wanted to tell you what I'm going to be doing. And here's my straps. We're gonna fold them right sides together, and we're gonna go over to our machine and sew them together like a tube, and then we'll turn them around right side out, and that will be our little straps. And then once we finish that, we're gonna feed them right through the casing. We can do that with a safety pin, and then we'll can tie a nut at the end so it doesn't come out of the swimsuit bottoms. Let's do that, and then we'll be done with this section. We can use the same kind of tool that we used with the straps earlier and flip these around right side out. All right, so we're sewing them half an inch away from the edge. Then I'm going to open it up and fold these back, both of those side seams. And you can use a pin or a clip or nothing. And then we're gonna edge stitch it down like a top stitch to create that casing where our strap's gonna go. Then we're gonna grab our strap. Like I said, you can use a safety pin or whatever, and you're gonna feed it through. Make sure they're even. And you can, if you want to, baste the top down or whatever, but that's what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna trim some of these and tie. And honestly, if you want to put the tie at the top, you would do the same. You just feed it at the top, so that way you tie it up here or you tie it down here. Really up to you, however you want to tie it. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Little bit of advice. If you're using this sort of tool like I'm using, as I am getting stuck right here right now, make sure that when you are going to feed it through, your little thing is pushed down, and I didn't have it pushed down and now it's stuck. So I have to like jiggle it around and try to get it to go up. I'll show you once I get it off what I mean by that. This little thing that goes and closes that hook, this right here is sharp, so it'll get cut on everything. So you got to make sure that this is down when you're going to put it through, so that way it doesn't get cut on everything. See, because if it's open, this will get cut on everything and it won't go all the way through. So make sure that's up, and now I can pull it through. I did not make sure of that, and I almost just ripped my whole swimsuit. That would not have been good. I also just realized something else. Right here, I didn't catch my seam was up, so I didn't catch it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that basting off right there and push it down and just top stitch that down. And that happens sometimes because swim fabric is a little bit slippery. That's okay, I'm gonna fix it. I could take off all this top stitching. It is up to you. If you want to, you could do that, but I myself, I'm just gonna top stitch it down. This is not, I'm not selling this, I'm giving it to my little niece, and I don't think she's gonna mind that. So that's what I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take all these little threads off, and we're done with our bottoms. All right, friends, part 1 of our sewing tutorial is done. How cute are these bottoms and this cute little top? I love them. I can't wait to try them on my knees. Join me now for part number 2, where we do our rash guard and our skirt. Come over there and join me on that. I'll add a link to that video so you can just click right on there and go over there. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, so you never miss any of our sewing tutorials and all our other videos that are on this channel. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Oh, find us on Facebook and Instagram, because we have so many awesome sewists that are part of the community, and you can be inspired by them, and you can inspire others with your sews if you share them with us. All right, well, I'll see you over at part 2.